Good afternoon, I am Rachel with R.s. Thurston Writing and Photography. We're here in Santa Barbara with Ernie Witham, one of our most famous local humor writers and also one of our longtime workshop teachers of the Writers Conference. What are some suggestions you have for new attendees to the conference? I know many of you have been to the conference. We have a lot of regulars over the years. I myself have completely lost track of how many years I've gone. But I do remember that in my first year there, I was very disoriented. There's so many exciting things going on, so many workshops. What are 3 suggestions you have for new attendees?
Well, I think probably the first day, people should try several different workshops. And this is set up so that nobody cares if you wander out of a workshop. It's not a closed door session where you're stuck sitting there for the whole thing. If you wander into poetry and decide, you know, maybe I'm not a poet, you get up and wander out, so maybe somebody else will wander in. So
not to put down any poets.
Not to put down anybody.
Because there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with poets.
You just happen to be a nonfiction humor investigative journalist.
Even if you go to the obituary writing class, I mean, it's...
Yes. Nice.
No, there's... but you try a lot of different things, because when you're first starting out, you think you know what you want to do, but I went as a novelist, and I wandered into the humor workshop, like the 3rd day I was there, and I went, I felt like I was home. These people were writing short pieces like I wrote, and everybody was so funny, and I thought, wow, maybe I could do this.
So you actually found your calling at the conference?
At the conference.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not planning that question, by the way. I didn't know that.
Come to the conference, I guarantee.
So you actually had this epiphany that's changed the course of your creative life.
Yes. Well, other things at the conference that you should look for is the workshop leaders are all around all the time. So you can talk to anybody about anything. So you might just find you have a lot in common with a workshop leader that you didn't even think of attending their workshop. And that can be the best thing sometimes too, because they're all talking about writing. It doesn't really matter what kind of writing. So you can learn a lot from a lot of different people. So
that's great. Suggestion number 1, don't feel like you have to commit yourself to the whole workshop. If you go in and someone resonates, great. If they don't feel bad to go on. And the second one is, don't feel like you need to focus just on the genre you're writing within. That you might find that maybe sci-fi fits you even though you're writing romance or vice versa. So that's great. Here's a James Lipton moment. If you were a fruit, what fruit would you be?
Oh my God. Pineapple.
Why?
I don't know.
It's supposed to have depth.
I like pineapple.
Depth and metaphor.
Maybe I'd be an apple because I like Apple products. Okay, now Steve Jobs, send me something.
And in all seriousness, for all those writers out there, they're all thinking what I'm thinking. Is it possible to actually make it as a writer in the 21st century?
Well, it depends what make it means. I mean, that's the other thing that with going to the Writers' Conference, I think, is if you go there with the expectations of I'm going to become an overnight success and become rich beyond all imagination, your chances of failure just went up 99.9%. But if you go there because you want to be a better writer or be a successful writer, I think the conference has all the opportunities in the world. I mean, I'm so much better writer than when I started, and I have a column now, and I have 2 books, and so there's levels of success. But to make an actual living as a writer, it's pretty tough. But. Do
you want to do some shameless plugging? I'd love to see the books that you've written.
Oh, okay.
So you too can be a published writer. Ernie here, who came to the conference without probably having any publishing. Did you have any publishing experience when you first attended the conference?
No, I had written...
When he was 10, 30 years ago.
I'd written a few pieces, but I hadn't published anything. This is my first book.
So this Ernie's World.
Right, which is the name of my column.
And it's you covered in caution tape. Yes. Is that so we are cautionary about buying the book?
It fits with one of the stories. Yes. Read the caution. No children should read this book.
Exactly. And then your second book, the newest book, local bestseller.
Well, my second book, I didn't want to do just another collection. because I'd done that. So I tried to make a running narrative of what it's really like to be a working writer.
Can people buy these books anywhere in town?
Yeah.
Can they buy them on Amazon?
They're available on Amazon,
Okay.
all Barnes & Noble, all the, and now you can get it for Kindle.
And what's your
Amazon.
website?
erniesworld.com.
All right.
You can buy them there, and then I would be happy to send an autographed copy to anybody and everybody.
Or we could catch you in your workshop live in person at the Santa Barbara Writers Conference this summer.
Even better. I have so much fun in that. We typically have the loudest workshop at the conference. Matter of fact, there was one year where people were banging on the wall, "Shut up in there!" because we were all laughing.
I think I was next door in Matt's class. You usually,
It brings together, the conference brings together a lot of people who are similar but have never met and never been in the same room together in a lot of cases. And then especially the humor workshop, and they have this sense of humor and it builds throughout the day. People become funnier because they hear funny stuff read, and then they read their own thing and they get suggestions, and we laugh so much sometimes that you almost have to hold up your hand and say, "Wait, I need to breathe."
At what point in your life did you consider yourself a real writer? I know that many of us have felt like we're imposters for many years, and when we say we're a writer, we almost feel like we're coming out of the literary closet and, you know, exposing ourselves to all of this criticism. What point did you realize you really were a writer?
I think when I first got published.
So when was that? What was the article?
I wrote a piece one year at the conference, and it actually won the category for best humor of that particular year, and I had to go up front and read it in front of 350 people. I was scared to death. But somebody suggested I should send it to the news press and see if they would publish it. And I was naive. I just sent it in, you know, to the editor. They gave me a name, and then I started calling her up. Like 2 days later, I called her, "Have you read my piece?" Kept getting her voice machine.
Didn't you think it was brilliant?
Yeah, just kept getting answering machine after. Finally, she answered the phone. She says, "Yes, I got your calls." And she said, "I didn't have a place for this, but we might have. We're doing a home repair supplement for the news press. It was about home repair." And she said, "I think I can get it in there." She said, "But best I can do is $20. And I was thinking, am I paying the $20? She's paying me $20. I didn't care.
You're like, "I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll pay you $50.
I'll give you $25. But it ended up, she put it in there, and she gave me $20, and it was like $20.
You didn't have to pay that.
No, yeah. So I made $40. But it was when that came out, and I saw my name and thing in the paper. I thought, wow, I could be a writer.
For those people that have never attended the conference or the workshop, how does your workshop run? Does someone need to have material or a story to come in, or can they come in without any material?
They can come in. I do some exercises in class. I've created some fun little pieces where I write all the lines out, but I leave the jokes off. You know, I do all the setups, and I leave the kaboom minutes off.
Right.
And they can fill them out, and so people, you know, kind of get a feel for how a joke is structured or a line is structured. So that's a lot of fun, and some people come and just listen because they really like the humor. But it is helpful if people do bring work, and I like to have people bring in 2 copies of everything, and then I read along with them and I make comments right on their piece.
So please join us this summer for the Santa Barbara Writers Conference. It's going to be in June. You can check out more about the different workshops available and the speakers coming into town at SBWriters.com. You can also check more into what Ernie's up to and the trouble he's getting into at r.s.thurston.com. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ernie.
Thank you.